Not Quite
Darkness
is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general. Listener discretion is advised.
Gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to Not Quite Darkness. My name is Keith Brooks, and everybody knows a boy's best friend is his mother. With me, as always, is Mr. Chad Dowdy. Chad, how are you? Yes.
Doing great, Keith. How are you?
It's perfect. It is spot on. That is so... Oh my, even to the bun. Oh, and the pearl necklace. Oh, it's so good. I'm doing wonderful. That's flawless. Oh, my God. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Not Quite Darkness. You got even the Norman Bates Funko Pop beside you. Oh, that's
right.
Awesome.
Ready to go.
And I see you got yourself a little shelf, too. That's cool shit. With Godzilla?
Oh, yeah, that's it's Godzilla fighting Kong up there.
That's awesome. That's awesome shit.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Welcome to the podcast, Not Quite Darkness, where we watch In Search of Darkness, the documentary series, and watch every film from that documentary, every single one they suggest. We're in the 1980s, 1982 or 3? We're on 3, right?
I believe 3. I wouldn't swear to it.
Yeah.
It all runs together.
Yeah. I mean,
early 80s for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it could drive you mad sometimes, but we all go a little mad sometimes.
Exactly.
And if you haven't caught on to the film we're talking about today, then you must be a psycho, because we're talking about the 20-year, maybe one of the original legacy sequels, Psycho 2. Chad.
Just to be clear, we're not talking about Psycho 1, right? The classic, amazing film.
My favorite film of all time. We're not talking about that one. We're talking about the shitty fucking sequel. That's what we're talking.
Okay. Part 2. Got it. Yeah, so Psycho 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sequel to one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
Yep.
We can both agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to be a sequel to the greatest movie, one of the greatest horror movies of all time, let's start Psycho 2 off with the shower scene, one of the greatest scenes in movie history. That's how we're starting the movie,
with redone audio. Like, that's weird. Like that the audio's been changed.
So one thing I want to say to you is that, like, I love Psycho.
Yeah,
I don't know it backwards and forwards like you do.
Yeah, no.
Feel free to jump in with any craziness that makes no sense or things that I may have missed, because yes, like I didn't even recognize like that it was not the same audio per se.
Yeah, and it's the mix of it is different, and they take out a couple of shots from the shower scene as well, but then the mix of the water and the toilet flushing and all of that stuff, it's just a different sound mix of it. And I don't know if it was a rights issue. I mean, it can't be a rights issue because this is Universal and they're using all the Psycho stuff, but they don't use any of the music from the original Psycho.
Well, I wonder if it was not a right. Well, you actually own it, physical copies, right? Because I was going to say, if I'm watching on streaming, sometimes streaming audio, they will change music.
Yeah.
But if you own the digital,
yeah.
You know. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we start off with the shower scene. And then we see, I thought this was actually pretty cool. We see the Psycho house, and everything we were watching before was in black and white because it was like the original movie. We see the house and then it turns to color.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually a nice touch.
Me too.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I might say that one or two more times.
Yeah.
That was nice. So then we're in like a courtroom, and Norman has by the judge and the state, I guess, has been deemed sane.
After 20 years. So he's been locked away for 20 years at the asylum, and now this is his parole hearing, and he's been granted freedom.
Yes, and Mrs. Loomis from the first movie is not having it. She's not happy with this.
And it's Vera Miles, like the actual back and all that
That's
stuff.
cool too.
Yeah,
Again, Norman's back. Obviously,
yeah.
it's just Anthony Perkins. He's back, but the fact that she's back too, that it's a nice touch.
Hmm.
That she's back as, Mrs. Loomis. Um, but the judge is not really listening to what she's got to say. Norman is free to go, basically, and his doctor is Frank Loja.
Yep. Is it Frank or Robert?
Robert Loja, you're correct.
Robert Loggia. I know that.
Yeah. Was I thinking Frank Langella? I think maybe.
So. I think so.
Yeah, that's totally what I was getting at. So Loja basically he takes him home being the psycho house. You know what I mean? Like that, let's go back to the scene of the crime. But when he gets there, like Norman sees someone in the window, like mother's
Immediately.
back in the window.
Yeah, immediately. Like the minute he gets out of the car, he's yes, mother. Like the very first thing.
Yes. And like again, he's there with his doctor and he's already acting crazy.
Yeah, you would think that the doctor would be paying extra close attention, but he's just like, no, I guess you're fine. Bye. Well, he's Robert Loggia, so he's like, I guess you're fine. Bye. And kicks him out.
I feel like that he said that he's sane and he's like, well, I'm not going to be wrong no matter what happens. And that's every step of the turn. He's like, this isn't you, Norman. People are trying to make you crazy. Yeah. Trust me on this. So he's standing by his diagnosis. That's what's happening here. So Norman goes into his house, and in the house, he actually finds a note from his mother, and he hears his mom's voice, and basically Mama's mad. She's not happy. And he's like, he's seeing things in the house, like he's clearly going crazy again. Even though we know kind of what happens later on in the film and stuff like this, like he's seeing things, as far as that goes. So yeah, he's going crazy again. But he's got a job now at the local diner. So he goes to the local diner and he meets an old lady, Mrs. Stool, and Meg Tilly, Jennifer Tilly's older sister.
Which I always forget that she exists. Like I know that for a different generation, she is the Tilly, but to me, Tiffany, Jennifer Tilly is the Tilly, right? Like
100%.
But like when I see her, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, you exist as well. And there's like two more of you that I always forget about. So
yeah, I mentioned this in a prior thing on the Chucky show. Jennifer Tilly like plays herself. Meg Tilly's in it as herself too, so that's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
It's pretty neat. But anyway, so Meg Tilly works there as well. But after work, Norman overhears Meg Tilly getting into an argument with her boyfriend, and she actually has no place to stay. Her boyfriend just kicked her to the curb. And Norman basically he offers her a room at the motel. And that's reasonable.
Absolutely. But even prior to this, we see her fuck up and Norman stand up for her and takes the blame for her so she doesn't get in trouble because he's new. And,
Yeah, like she drops a plate or something like that. And the guy who owns the place is mad. And Norman says it was my fault.
Yeah.
Which I know we're making Norman out to be a good guy. That's pretty ballsy because I feel like he's probably got to keep a job, kind of like you need to keep a job and your first day on the job, you're acting like you've made these mistakes. So
absolutely. Yeah.
So he tells her you can come stay at the hotel. So they go to the motel, and in what I think is perfect chef's kiss casting in this, Dennis Franz as like the motel manager.
Yeah.
He is great in this role.
He's the part that I would play in the movie, and I love that. Like, just sleazy skis bag. Love it.
He is so good. And Norman finds out that basically he's just renting the rooms out for like people to have sex and do drugs. Like that's what this is. And, they argue and Norman just basically fires him right there on the spot.
Which is an interesting thing too. Like if we look at, so there are 4 Psycho movies. There's a TV remake, and then there's the remake, and then there's the TV show, Bates Motel, all that stuff. But if we look at the original 4 movies as like an overall story arc and character arc, this is the first time we see Norman Bates like become I don't know, offensive as opposed to like it just being
Yeah, I was gonna say
submissive to everything.
authoritative, maybe.
Yeah, because he
Yeah,
even tells her, "Go do what I say. Go and sit in the house." Right? Like, and so it's almost like there has been a major shift in who he is as a person, and that's kind of awesome. It's kind of cool to see.
yeah, I agree. I mean, he's definitely like, like it's a cliche, but like growing up before
Yeah,
our eyes, almost like,
yeah,
almost literally because of the situation.
yeah,
But yeah, so because the rooms are not fit, basically for a person that's not doing drugs, if you will, he basically says, "I'm sorry, I don't have any rooms, for you, Meg, but you can stay in the house."
yeah,
And later on, like they talk about, she knows a little bit of his past, but she doesn't know like everything. Again, like that's what she tells him, that she doesn't know
yeah.
everything, but she's certainly like up for just staying in the house, like
Absolutely.
you know. And so they go up to the house, and he makes her a sandwich. It's funny because she gives him a knife to like cut the sandwich, and it just triggers him.
Well, even before that, he's looking for something to make food with, and then he sees the knife, closes the drawer, freaking the
Yeah,
fuck out, and then
no
she's like,
one don't want it.
"Yeah," and he's like, "Oh, I don't have any cutlery," and she's like, "That's crazy. There's got to be cutlery in here in this house that I didn't know existed until 5 seconds ago," and like forces him to take the fucking knife. You know what
Right.
I mean?
And it's funny too because, again, people eat sandwiches different ways. You don't need a knife to
No.
to eat a sandwich
And then
or
neither
make a
one of
sandwich.
you eat the fucking sandwich. Like, fuck you. But I do think it is such a character trait, sandwich and milk. Like that's such a old school good guy thing. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's again, it's like a callback to like the original, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
what he,
yeah.
makes for her or whatever?
Just some
Uh
sandwiches and milk. Yep.
but she sees that he's triggered just holding this knife, and it freaks her out a little bit. And
Hmm.
so she kind of she just wants to leave. Um so basically, to get her to stay, he tells her that he killed his mom when he was 12 years old. But he says he's okay now.
And he tells her how he did it, which I don't think in the original we get this, but like he tells her that he poisoned her with tea, and we see when he's trying to make food the can or the tin of the poison tea, because apparently when you kill somebody, they don't take the evidence; they just leave it where it was. So,
Right, exactly. And so, or Keith, maybe was it planted there?
ooh, da 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 da.
Okay. So he said he's okay now, and she's like, he's like, so please stay. And much like Tom Atkins, this works. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. What a dumb
yeah, I
question.
killed somebody a long time ago, but it was my mom. No big deal. I'm totally cool now. I just got out of the insane asylum, 20 years. This is the house where it all happened in, by the way, but
Yeah.
just please stay.
Yeah, I stabbed
Got it.
somebody to death with that knife right there that you're touching.
Exactly. Exactly. Uh, so she agrees to stay, but as they're going like upstairs, like he's showing her to the room, she wants to go into this particular room, which is his mother's room. He
Hmm.
does not want to go in his mother's room, but she like basically barges into the room, and he goes in there, and the room is like not lived in at all. Like there's like stuff over the furniture, it hasn't been touched in forever. And but she wants to stay in that room, but he won't let her. He has another room for her to stay in.
Hmm.
Uh, so she sleeps in another room, but this made me actually feel a little bit better of what I've seen so far. Is she sleeps in the room, but she has the chair propped against the door
Yeah.
so that no one can come in. And I was like, thank goodness that,
Hmm.
she's got a little bit of brains to this,
Yeah.
because like, yeah, he was going crazy just holding the knife. He's a crazy person. I feel like we're going to get canceled by calling him crazy, but I don't really know what else.
I think the
I don't.
name of the movie sort of gives that away.
Okay, yeah, so we're okay. You think we're fine with this? Yeah,
Yeah, he has issues. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I don't think anybody's out there like you take it easy on Norman Bates, the murderer.
So, then it's the next day at the diner. Dennis Franz comes in, and he is being just a complete asshole. Like again, he's excellent in this role. He's
Yeah.
being so good. Um, and I don't really know. what this is or how to explain it, but the diner has that old school thing where you put the orders up on this little rack
Like
that turns
a
around.
lazy Susan or whatever, but
Yeah,
like
it's kind of like a lazy Susan, and the orders are on that rack where the waitresses put that on there, and then Norman, who is a cook, can see what the orders are. But we see that there is a note is instead of one of the orders. And again, it's a note like from his mother, and it says, "Don't let that whore back in the house.
Mhm.
Love, mom," basically,
Yeah,
you know. So he hasn't seen that yet. Um, and we're building up the tension to him getting that. He's getting the next order, the next order. But Dennis Franz is also messing with Meg Tilly, and he basically just like verbally assaults her,
yeah,
for acting like she slept with Norman last night, and
yeah,
and all this stuff. Why don't you sleep with me or whatever? And Norman tries to stand up for her,
yeah,
um, but he sees the note first.
yeah. He sees the note and he stops because he's like chopping lettuce, and the entire time you're freaking out because you're like he's going to cut his hand off.
100%.
100%. And so he sees the note, freaks the fuck out, knocks into the owner of the diner. He gets fried burn oil on him. Then Norman puts the knife down, walks into the dining area, sees a knife, contemplates picking up the knife.
I think Dennis Francis is like, yeah, pick it up, psycho.
Yeah.
Pick up the knife, kill me. What are
Yeah.
you going to do? Stab me? You're crazy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but he he thinks Dennis Franz did the note, but he doesn't act on this. He actually just shirks away. He backs away, um, and but they basically kick Dennis Franz out.
Yeah. And then they ask him what happened, and he explains, well, there was a note. He slipped me a note. And they go to look for the note, and the note's now not there.
Correct. So the evidence, if you will, is gone. Further making looks like Norman's crazy. But again, we've seen the note
Yeah.
as the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So we know there was a note. Uh, and so later, Jennifer, Meg Tilly says something to him like, "I could have killed him, but you were so cool." And Norman's response is so funny. He goes, "I don't kill people anymore. Remember?" That is such like, listen, I've never killed anybody. I'm not going to kill anybody. But if I had killed somebody in the past, I feel like I would say that all the time because it sounds dope as
Great
hell.
line.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And super uncomfortable, but also super fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he says it like with just like a little bit of like fun to it. Like you said,
Yeah.
he says, I don't kill anybody anymore. Remember?
And I think it's fun because we know it's fictional. But like I remember like when OJ Simpson was alive and he would be like, "You guys are getting carried away." I'm like, "You are saying that?" Like,
That's funny. Um, so that when they're doing that, that's like back at the house. Now they're back at the house, and she's gonna take a shower. So
mm-hmm.
now, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna recreate this classic shower scene? This is also a nice touch. Norman is downstairs doing the dishes.
Yeah.
And the water pressure changes so that Norman knows for a fact that she's in the shower.
Yeah.
I think that's very smart.
Yeah.
And good writing, actually. I really like that. He sees that going on. But I also feel like if you're going to do a shower scene, that's a lot to leave up to, first of all.
Oh, absolutely.
But second of all, I don't think that they ratchet up the tension near as much as they should because of this. So I just feel like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They don't really know how to do this. Like, it's just difficult to recreate one of the greatest horror scenes of all time.
And it's also like trying to do it in a different way because in this we do see Norman go into his mother's room and look through a peephole to watch her, shower. Little bit of nudity, not a lot, but a little bit. But it's him almost fighting the urge, right? Like he doesn't want to go through with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so. I mean, the whole story is about a guy not trying to relapse. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And where forces are conspiring against him to make him relapse, So like you said, looking through the peephole, all of that goes on, but there is no murder, this time, of course. But Norman does get a call from his mother, but at this point, he still thinks it's Dennis Franz.
Yeah.
He thinks, Dennis Franz did the note. He thinks Dennis Franz is messing with him, calling him. And Dennis Franz is there, but he is, down at the motel,
Hmm.
packing up his stuff to move out because, Norman fired him earlier. So he's on the premises. And while he's like packing up and stuff, uh, he gets killed
Yeah. Um,
by what looks like Norman dressed as his mom. Someone dressed as Norman's mom or
and
Norman's mom. It's what it looks like.
yeah, but it's also one of the because it's excellent knife skills because instantly they take like a triangle out of Dennis Franz's cheek and then it just fades to black, which makes it feel kind of cheesy because of the fade. But it also, in this moment, I thought about how shitty it would be to move into the Bates house because you can't pull straight up to it like with your car. It's a lot of steps, right? The only parking is down at the motel, and then you got to go up this huge fucking hill with a refrigerator, with a stove, with a couch. Get the fuck out of here! Every time I
Or
have groceries, ugh,
if you're an old lady,
yeah, yeah. No
it's no
wonder,
wonder no one saw Mrs. Bates around because she could never leave the house.
yeah, no wonder you just fucking die and leave them there. Carry the
Yeah,
body down there. Get the fuck out of here.
yeah. It's a dope looking house though.
It is. It's the most iconic house in the world.
Yeah, it's awesome. So basically, now Dennis Franz is dead, and the next day Loja comes by, but Norman has told him he's quit his job.
Yeah,
Uh, I can't remember the last time I saw this, but I really thought there was more to the diner. I really did. We just had really like two scenes, so
yeah.
but I really thought there was more. But he's already quit his job.
But it is a nice little symbolic moment because the motel is painted gray, and now he's painting it with the ugliest piss yellow color I've ever seen. But he is painting it with color, and that's a nice little,
Yeah, another touch, as
yeah.
far as that goes. But while like this is going on, like Meg Tilly, she actually sees the peephole,
Hmm.
and sees like that, she could have been watched, if
Yeah,
you will.
yeah,
Uh, but she doesn't like totally like freak out about this. It's not
yeah.
anything where she's like, oh my God, this is crazy. She just walks outside, walks down to the thing, and she just gets a ride with Loja like into town. Like there's no
But it,
confrontation or question about it.
I don't know, but it is subtle enough where, like, I think she does a really great job in these moments because there's a reveal later that explains that, but at the time you think you can see that she's kind of shaken by it, but not shaken enough where she's confronting. And it feels like one of those weird age gap relationships that we have in every fucking movie from the 80s where she's just a young girl that's uncomfortable around this older man that she knows has killed people before, right? And
Yes.
and so it's like she's almost playing it safe and just wants to get out of there. Like, I don't know, I think she does a great job in the scene.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. And it would be difficult to do maybe some of the things you would expect maybe a normal person to react in that
Yeah,
situation. So
absolutely.
I definitely see like, where you're coming from. So they leave, but as Norman is working on the motel, he sees his mother standing in the window up at the house, and I'm glad he does this. He actually runs to the house.
Yeah.
There's no look again, no one's there, taking your time. He like immediately runs to the house and no one is in the room,
Yeah.
but the room actually looks lived in now.
And it's all like the mattress is down, all the cabinets are up, everything looks like it's organized.
Yes, it's like his mother is literally living in that room and she was there earlier.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. But there's also another note that he finds in the room, and it says, "Get rid of that slut, or I'll kill her." And so I don't know if he like hears something or if he's looking around. I can't remember, but he kind of goes up into the attic
Yeah.
for some reason. I don't really remember
I don't either.
why. But when he goes into the attic, like the door shuts behind him and he locks himself in. So now he's locked into the attic. And while he's locked in the attic, a couple of teenagers show up.
A great shot. Like it tries to like I don't think this is shot as beautifully as Hitchcock's, obviously, but there are some really nice, especially with some overhead stuff that they do. And they sort of dolly out of the house through the attic window, and you see these teenagers crawling in through the basement window.
And the good thing about the way they did that shot, like you say specifically, and it works, is because we are seeing no passage of time.
Yeah.
He is in the attic, still locked in the attic while
Yeah.
these teenagers are actually making their way into the house. So, there's no, if there's a cut, you're like, was that 5 minutes later? You know what? So it's really cool how they do that as well. So the teenagers, they sneak into the basement, to have sex.
Well, they're gonna smoke a little weed. They take one puff, and then she's like, "I think I heard something." He's like, "Oh my god, you're so high off that one puff." And then they start to kiss, and immediately when they start to kiss, he just sticks his hand down her shirt and grabs a handful of tit, and it's like, "This is the most romantic thing we've ever done." Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And it's like a dirty ass basement too. At the same time.
absolutely.
So, they start messing around, like you said, but then they hear something like for real. And when they get up to like check, the guy actually gets killed by the mother,
Yeah.
someone dressed as the mother.
So the girl goes out the same window that they crawled in through, and the
Yes.
guy's behind her, and I think she accidentally hits the window and it closes on the guy, and then
In
that's
his hands or something. Yeah.
yeah, and then that's when
And,
stabby stab.
and so the guy gets killed, but the girl, she gets away and she runs, she runs to the police, if you will. And then Meg Tilly shows up, um, and she finds Norman in the attic, but the door's not locked.
Yeah,
So was Norman actually locked in the attic, or what's going on here?
and then I think before this, at some point, Loja goes to the sheriff's office or sheriff's department, and he talks to, because remember we're in California, and the sheriff sounds like Walton
I love
Goggins.
the sheriff.
I do too, but goddamn, that's a thick redneck accent for California. And so he tells the sheriff, "Hey, keep an eye out for Norman and this girl staying with him. Here's her name." And then the sheriff's like, "All right, we'll do. Get the fuck out so I can eat my sandwich." And then he eats his sandwich because this movie is brought to you by sandwiches.
I don't know if this is the exact moment, but I think it might be. It's when Loja says something like, "Just keep an eye on Norman," and the sheriff's like, "I already have been," or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. Like it
yeah,
was like that was pretty cool. And he's
yeah.
like, "Yeah, an insane person just got released. Of
The
course,
fucking-
I'm keeping an
it's,
eye on him."
it's Norman Bates, dumbass. What do you
Exactly.
think I'm gonna do?
Oh, really? Oh, I wasn't doing that. Thanks for letting me know how to do my job,
You
asshole.
don't have to tell a fat guy that a new Whataburger opened up on his block. He already knows.
So the attic's not locked. They walk out and they walk into Norman's mom's room. Now it looks like it looked earlier, unlived in, mattresses up, all that stuff. Everything is totally changed.
Yeah.
Back to unlived in room.
Yeah.
Uh, and then the cops show up. And because obviously the girl told them, what happened. And then the cops check around. They want to see the basement. They want to, and when they go to the basement, it's cleaner than it
Yeah.
was. It's
Yeah.
not dirty anymore. It's clean. There's no body. There's no blood, but it's very clean. But Meg Tilly says she cleaned up in there days ago.
Yeah, and it's a nice little mirror moment to Norman standing up for her at the diner.
Right. So this, in essence, basically gives and also gives Norman an alibi, because she basically also says like we were off on a walk or something. They were gone somewhere together. So she gives him an alibi, and she acts like she cleaned this days ago. So the sheriff leaves because there's no body. I don't really know how they play this in the real world. I guess. What do you think? What do you think they bring him downtown to like question him? I just don't
Yeah.
know.
I
I
think,
understand there's no evidence. I get it.
but I think if Norman Bates sneezed too hard, they would bring him downtown.
Yeah, just bring him down.
But they do also point out that the cellar door is unlocked, and the deputy tells him to get that fixed before he gets robbed blindly. But it sets up a way that somebody could get in and out of the house without being seen.
It sets that up too. But I tell you what I also liked about that is that the sheriff deputy saying that, it was almost like the way he said it. He's looking out for Norman.
Yeah.
It's not like they just automatically assume Norman's a crazy person and he's a killer.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, they're almost like the Loja, like they're looking out for Norman and they want him to succeed.
But
You know
it's
what I mean?
also absolutely, but it's also a great moment too because it's almost like the deputy is allowing the sheriff to be alone with Meg Tilly to ask her like to double down on the questions. It's just really well. I think like a lot of this movie is really well done. If I'm
I
going to be
do too.
honest.
There's just a major issue that I have with it.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple, but still.
So the cops leave basically because they don't really have anything, but they're like, don't leave town. Your classic, we'll be in touch or whatever. But when they leave, Norman's like saying like it's starting again. Norman feels like that
Yeah.
he is going crazy, and I gotta say, rightly so.
Yeah.
With what he's seen, what
Hmm.
he hasn't seen, what has happened, what's being reported, you could see how a crazy person would think that they're going,
Crazy.
crazy again.
Hmm.
And you know, I can't remember, but he asked like Meg Tilly, like, why did you do
Lie.
that?
Yeah.
And she's like, you're not crazy, Norman. She's standing up for him, like, you didn't do this.
Hmm.
You were not crazy. You didn't do it. But meanwhile, Lila Crane Loomis wants she's talking to the sheriff. She wants Norman arrested and she wants the swamp drained. So this might be like the first MAGA person we've seen draining that swamp. I don't know. What do you think, Keith?
That's pretty good. I do think also it's important to note that the name Loomis, obviously, this is the characters where we get, Dr. Loomis and Billy Loomis, but Sam Loomis from the original is Marion Crane's boyfriend. Who's Janet Leigh's character, who is Lila's sister. So,
Right.
so the inference is here is after Norman kills Marion, Lila marries Marion's boyfriend. Like,
Correct.
yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So now, though, in a twist, we get the reveal that Lila is
Well,
actually Meg Tilly's mother.
yeah. So they're doing something upstairs in the kitchen, and then Meg Tilly asks if he has any alcohol, and then Norman's like, "Mother doesn't keep alcohol," but he says it in the present tense, and it looks like it creeps
Nice.
Meg Tilly out, and then she's like, "Well, that drunk guy, that's probably dead by now, he has some. Let me go
No
down."
telling what's in those rooms.
Yeah, so that's she goes down there, and then she's being followed, and then she turns around, and Lila's right in her face.
Exactly. And so again, she's like, "Mom, what are you doing?" Basically, and so it's revealed that Meg Tilly and Lila are the ones that are making the phone calls, making the notes,
Hmm.
messing with the rooms. Uh, but Meg Tilly is like, Norman did not kill those people because she locked him in the attic.
Yeah.
Meg Tilly is the one that locked him in the attic. And so when she came back and unlocked it, it was kind of in an effort to make Norman think he's crazy, that he could have got out and he could have done it. But she knows he couldn't have done it because he was literally locked into the attic, you know.
Hmm.
But, so Meg's coming around. Like she's starting to be on Norman's side, but Lila is not. Again, I'm not saying she's going about this the right way, but Norman killed her sister in a shower. Like
Hmm.
it, it's terrible.
And
Like,
Norman was going to kill her. Like she was going to be the last victim in the last movie, right? Like
right.
that's who Norman's going to stab when they catch him.
And so, she believes someone else is in the house. That's the only, explanation. She doesn't like blame her mother. She doesn't think I don't think, does she say you didn't kill that guy?
No.
Like I feel like there's none of that. She just believes that there's someone else, doing this.
And then
But
there's a really good. I don't know if it's this section or later. It might be later when she goes to see her mom at the hotel. But there's a moment where Lila is trying to remind her, he killed your aunt. Your father would be so ashamed of you. And she says, "I'm tired of living for dead people." And it's just like such a great line to tell you everything about their relationship, that her dad's dead, that all this stuff. It's so,
especially it parallels Norman.
yeah,
Like,
Exactly.
it's
All of it parallels Norman because it's like again, I like this movie kind of more than I should. But go ahead.
so back at the house, like blood starts, Norman's like cleaning, I guess, but blood starts coming up from the toilet. And he like pulls something out, and it's clearly, something from like the kid.
Yeah,
So it seems like, yeah, someone was killed.
yeah,
I know the cops didn't find a body. We didn't see anything, but Norman is starting to believe that that he killed the kid.
yeah,
Like that's what he is believing. But Meg tells him that he just didn't do it. Like I just don't believe that. You
yeah.
couldn't have. I don't think at this point she says like I locked you in the attic. You know what I
No,
mean? She's just saying like you couldn't have done it. You didn't do it. Um, but she's like, but someone is here, and someone
yeah,
is killing, and so she's got a gun, with her,
yeah,
which is smart on all fronts, quite frankly, in
yeah.
this
Mm-hmm.
scenario to even have it. But so basically, she's looking around and she goes into the mother's room, um, and she sees the peephole from like the other side,
Yeah,
and she's looking through the peephole, and as she's looking through the peephole, an eye like looks back at her.
yeah,
Again, that was going to happen, but it's like it's a cool shot. Um, and it's not Norman, which I
mm-hmm.
liked because we see Norman. He is like downstairs and he starts running up the stairs,
Yeah,
like when she screams or whatever.
yeah,
So we know someone is in the house.
yeah.
You could still presume it's Lila, but
Mm-hmm.
someone else is there. So he's running up, and then they start like looking for the other person, basically. Um, Norman, he's hearing his mom in his head. Um, so they end up just like holing up in a room together, like for the night. This was kind of weird to me that was the plan,
Solution.
because if someone's in the house, it's not like vampires or whatever. They're not going to leave at some point. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so, but so they hole up in a room, and again, Meg Tilly's fine with this. I'd still be leery
yeah,
of being in a room with no, even though I've got a gun, because she goes to sleep.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's asleep, and she wakes up with Norman standing over her with a knife, like not standing over her protecting her, standing over her, clearly contemplating of stabbing her to death. Like that's the implication, and she is pretty damn calm about this, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
absolutely.
Like, I get that we know what her plan was, but at this point, to me, it's like all bets are off. And
Yeah.
he's standing over you with a knife.
Well, but I think prior to this, there's a moment where Norman gets a phone call, and there's apparently two phones in the house, one downstairs, one upstairs. He gets a phone call that he says is from his mother, and Meg Tilly's like, it's not from your mother. And then she runs upstairs, grabs the other phone, picks it up, and Friday the 13th Part Two's Norman, and she's like,
Yeah,
"This is your mother."
that's definitely a little bit later, though.
What is? Oh, is it? She
The
does it
Friday 13th
twice.
Part 2 thing.
Well, she does it
later.
twice. She does
Yeah.
it once with just her voice, and
Yes.
then once she dresses up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just like the voice
Yeah. Yeah.
winner or whatever.
Yeah.
And then so we have Loja comes by, and he basically tells Norman, I can't remember how he figures this out. Maybe he's following
Yeah.
like, I don't know, but he's figured it all out. And he's basically telling Norman everything. Meg Tilly, her mom, they're doing the notes, they're doing everything.
What is this when he follows Lila to the house? No.
No, because he
No,
follows
that's
Lyle to the house closer to the end.
yeah. Yeah.
So I don't remember how Frank Loja figures this out.
I don't either.
I mean, I really don't. But Norman basically, here's what Loja says, but he's like, Norman, your mother's dead. It's not your mother doing this, it's them. But Norman's like, no, my mother isn't dead. He believes that his mother
Mm-hmm.
is not dead. And he's just still trying, Loja's still trying to convince him that they're messing with him. Um, and so while this is going on, Meg Tilly's actually talking to the mom at the hotel. That's what you were talking
Yeah.
about
And they're
earlier.
having an argument, but it's a lady's vacuuming, so we see the desk clerk listening but can't really hear a lot because of the sound.
Yeah, but he can definitely tell they were arguing.
Yeah.
And he heard the beginning, whatever. And basically, the mom's just like, dress up one more time
Yeah.
as the mother, and it'll all be over. And then they argue, and we don't really like hear the outcome, like you said, because of the vacuum cleaner,
Yeah.
if you will. But meanwhile, in an effort to show Norman that his mother is dead, Loja's got some pull because they just exhumed the body. Basically, they pulled Norman's mother's grave up. They opened the casket, and thing about that is, yes, it's a skeleton.
Mhm.
So there could be anybody in that casket, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Just because it's my mother's tombstone and you've pulled this out and you've shown me it's, there's no features. It's a skeleton. Okay. But
Yeah.
like, he's like, so
And
there you go.
and it's also like whenever they open it, everybody sort of like gags at the smell. But that bitch was a skeleton 20 years ago. Like we saw her. We saw the dead Norma, right? So and now she looks better than she did 20 years ago, right? Like so nothing could have rotted on the woman.
Right. I do feel like that this shot was like intentional of like, look how much this looks just like the skeleton we saw in
Yeah,
the original movie.
exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
that's why they had to have this scene in
Yeah,
here to show that.
absolutely.
It's so funny. Uh, so Norman goes home and he actually confronts Meg Tilly.
Yeah.
She happens to be there. But while he's confronting her, the phone rings. And I like this, what you're talking about, where he's talking to her,
Yeah.
his mother, if you will. And Meg Tilly picks up the phone and no one's talking to Meg Tilly. And
Yeah.
clearly no one's there. And Norman gets the phone back and he's talking to his mother again.
Hmm.
And so she runs up and she,
Yeah, that's right.
tries to, act like the mom, and all that. And she tells him to hang up. But he he tells Meg that he has a different mother and she is alive. I'm like, what the
It's a
hell's going on here?
weird way to jump to that conclusion so quickly, unless Mother is telling him, but we don't
Yes,
hear
and
that.
I think that's the implication. I
Yeah,
really
me
do
too.
think that's what's happening. Is mother is telling him this, um, and so the cops show up at this point, and they are actually going to drain the swamp.
Yeah.
So our tax dollars at work there.
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh,
And
so
then
Meg
after that,
Tilly,
they're going to build a Bates Motel ballroom. Um,
and so it's funny because they're at the swamp, and Meg Tilly just asked the sheriff if Norman was adopted. What the fuck are we doing? Like,
but
Meg Tilly has no insider information except for the fact that Norman Bates was talking to someone on the phone that wasn't there, as far as she knows.
yeah.
And she is listening to the ravings of a lunatic, quite
Hmm.
frankly, and asking the sheriff for more information on this.
But I
It is
love that
ridiculous.
yeah, it is totally. But I love that the sheriff is like, I don't fucking know. Like he's just so. Why would I know that? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you might know, like, let's just say, for example, if you were like a forensic person, you would know if Hannibal Lecter was adopted. You would know that,
yeah,
you know. So if you're an expert on this kind of stuff, you might know about Norman Bates.
yeah.
But just the local sheriff, no, I don't think
It's
he's
no
like
idea.
studied the file, you
Yeah.
know. But anyway, so he's like, whatever. I have no idea. So while they are gone to the swamp, Lila sneaks into the house. And this is to your point where Loja's actually
Following her.
following her. So, um, and while she sneaks into the house, there's stuff in the basement, like a hidden outfit for the mother.
Yeah.
So she starts putting on the mother outfit. But then she is killed by someone else dressed like the mother. Um, and Norman has already left the swamp, by the way, since this has happened.
Mhm.
So we don't know who this could possibly be, unless it is actually Norman, because there's no other suspects as far as we know. Like,
Mhm.
Norman is the killer. Um, so Frank starts snooping around. Frank, Loja starts snooping around, and Norman finds him. Uh, and but Norman tells him that Mrs. Bates, Norma Bates, was not his real mom. It's like this is just crazy stuff that they're going to here or whatever. And then meanwhile, the cops find the like Dennis Franz's car
Mhm.
and his body, And Meg Tilly was there. She was hanging out, seeing what they were going to find or whatnot. And so she runs back to warn Norman, basically, that you got to get out of here. They found, the body or whatever. But Norman is going crazy at this point.
Yeah, and he does. It's a cool little scene because he's A, playing piano beautifully. B, he's like, she's like, we have to run, we have to leave. Why? They found a body. They're gonna arrest you for it. Okay, we have to go now. No, Norman, we have to run. Where would we go? They would just catch us. And he's so fucking calm about it as she's panicking and melting away.
Yeah, because it's almost like I've been in this movie before.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
I know how this works. Like,
yeah.
yeah, they're gonna come get me, take me away again. I'm resigned to that.
Mhm.
Um, so then like the phone rings again, and Norman is like on the phone with his mom, and he's hearing basically we only hear Norman's side, but he's like, "You want me to kill her?" You know what I mean? Like we're hearing that, and so of course Meg Meg freaks out, and that's when she goes and Friday the 13th Part Two's it
Yeah,
and puts on the mother's outfit and tries to convince him to stop this nonsense, basically.
yeah.
Um, but of course, this actually works for me. Loja sees her dressed as Norman's mom and clearly assumes that she's trying to make Norman crazy.
But it's so great too because she runs back upstairs to be on the phone with Norman, because being in front of him wasn't working,
Yeah.
and she can't find Norman for a minute, and then all of a sudden Loja grabs her from behind, and then she turns around thinking it's Norman come to hurt her and stabs instinctively,
Yep.
and it happens to be Loja.
Yeah. It was actually pretty well done. And again, it made sense what she was doing, and it made sense
Mhm.
what Loja was doing. In that
Absolutely.
moment, it makes total sense that she
Yeah.
would accidentally kill him. And Norman, he sees this or whatever, and he kind of like wants to help, but he's still acting crazy. And Meg Tilly is like, scared of Norman,
Yeah.
and she like cuts him and cuts his hands, and you
Doesn't
know,
Loja fall off the
he falls off the
steps?
stairs. Yeah, he's
Oh,
like
it's so
dead.
good. So because
Yep.
and the knife like drives into him. Oh, such a good moment. Anyway,
Yep. And so as they're kind of having this scuffle, if you will, they end up in the basement,
but
and then they
I
see.
love that sequence too because it's she keeps stabbing him and he's like, "Mother, I'll do anything for you," and he's like again bowing to her, being submissive to her, all that.
Yes. And as this is going on, they see like some coal and stuff falls or something like that, and they see Meg Tilly's mother dead. And so now Meg Tilly absolutely thinks that Norman killed her mom. And so she's trying to kill him.
Yep,
And the cops show up at the right time and shoot her. And it's pretty perfect. Like
perfect.
that's exactly what's going on. You know, everything is just wrapped up in a bow.
Yeah,
These people are trying to make Norman crazy, literally dressed up the way Norman dressed up when he did the killing in the first movie. And the cops see this. Clearly, Norman is not crazy, and we've killed the killer, Meg Tilly. So the credits roll. Is that right, Keith? Is that what happens for that?
nope,
Is this
not
the end of the
quite,
movie?
not
Oh,
quite.
it's not. Oh yeah, I do. I have in my notes here. Yeah, there is some more stuff here. Uh, Norman is just at home and is eating, I guess, a
Well,
sandwich.
well, we wind up back at the police station that he ends the first movie in, and so you think this is where we're going to end again. But then the sheriff is really nice to him. He's like, "Norman, can I give you a ride home? You ready to go, buddy?" "Yeah, yes, sir." And blah, blah, takes him home. Now he's eating a sandwich with milk,
Yep, he's
but
eating the sandwich. And there's a knock at the door.
and he has a second plate already out, ready.
Yes, and he opens the door, and it is Mrs. Spool. And if you don't remember who Mrs. Spool is, she was at the diner at the beginning, and she was the old lady from the diner. And I feel like that's probably why I thought there was more to the diner, because I thought
Yeah,
we had more Mrs. Spool.
and we do not.
And we do not. It's like one scene of her talking and another scene of her reacting in the background. I feel
Yeah.
like that's about
Mhm.
all it is. But he says he was expecting her, you know, and it turns out that she is Norman's real mother, Mrs. Bates's sister.
Mhm.
and she has killed everyone that's been messing with her Norman. And she was like in an insane asylum or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, people didn't really know what actually happened. Uh, but she was gone, and she did not get out until Norman was actually in the insane asylum.
Yeah. And then while she's sort of explaining it, Norman asks if he can make her a cup of tea. He makes her tea with his special tin that we set up
That's correct.
earlier.
That he made for his other mother, if you will.
Yeah, and also before this, he was putting coal in their furnace because apparently this house operates like a locomotive, and that's how it be heated. And he brought the shovel back upstairs with him, and she's drinking her tea. And go ahead, Chad.
And she's clearly been poisoned, and she starts acting like, she's convulsing or something. And Norman just smacks her in the head with his shovel.
Such
Looks
a
great.
good fucking shovel hit too,
Yes.
because I cannot tell where the cut is. It is so good.
Yep. So now he takes his dead new mother, he has her body, and he's carrying her up the stairs,
Mm-hmm.
and he's talking to her the whole way as if, she's alive. And when he walks into his mother's room, uh, we also hear, the mother's voice talking
Norman,
back.
put me
And,
by the window, Norman.
and Norman is clearly crazy again.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what you say. It's a cool ending shot.
It's the
The
best
ending
because
shot.
it's from the original. It's like when we see him in the original carry mother to bed. It's the same
Yep.
shot now recreated, but he's fallen back into his old ways. Like
Yes. And that's the way the movie ends.
yeah.
So I like the ending shot, but could have done without the retconning, quite frankly.
It always like I always bump up against that she's his mom, but it's also like, is she really? Because this woman admitted to being crazy. Like, and so even if she is or isn't, it doesn't really matter. Norman's got a mother now. Like, you know what I mean? And
I don't know. I feel like the implication is that she's not crazy
yeah,
because we don't get a descending argument, a dissension.
yeah. I think we do in part 4.
No, I agree. I think they retcon this
Yeah,
in later movies, but from the standalone point of part 2,
yeah.
Norman's original mother, the classic mother,
Mm.
is not his mother at the end of the movie. It is this new person, Mrs. Spool, that has
Yeah.
been introduced.
Who is clearly the fastest geriatric lady in the world to run around that fucking house like that. But
You got up all those stairs pretty good too to get to the house,
dude,
like you said.
and hiding bodies and shit. Ugh. But I also think, like, to me, one of the things it does is it brings up this nature versus nurture aspect in a weird way, because she admits to having gone to the mental hospital for having her own problems. And Norman talks about how Norma, his mother, quote unquote, treated him poorly and was abusive to him. And so it's sort of implying that that's what led him down the path. But this is saying, no, he always would have been this no matter what. Like,
Yeah, it's like in his genes, if you will.
yeah.
Yep.
So, like, I don't know. Like, how do you feel about the movie?
I mean, so on Letterboxd, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5
Okay.
because there's some good stuff in this movie. We've talked about some of the good stuff,
Yeah.
but I feel like that retcon is atrocious. You can retcon movies. It happens. You can like change, things, but to like Psycho is a classic, and to change who his mother is, I just
big.
can't believe that's what they decided to do.
Yeah.
It's wild, quite frankly.
It is. And, like, to me, I remember hating this movie a lot more than I do, and it was mostly because of the retcon. But watching it now, I think it's a super fucking solid script. I think the disservices to the movie, to me, are the fucking score is horrible and super cheesy the entire time. watch, our only listener is actually the guy who did the score for Psycho 2. But it feels so like made for TV a lot of the time, and I feel that a lot of the shots and the cinematography and even some of the direction, same thing is true there, that it never lives up to Hitchcock, and that's who you're trying to emulate, right? But I think Perkins is great. I think Vera Miles is great. I think Tilly's great. I think the cast is wonderful. I think the writing is really clever. Like,
Yeah.
Even if I don't like the twist, and instinctually I don't, it's still really fucking clever, all of the themes that they're pulling together. And the idea of being driven mad again once you've been healed. Like, I like it. Like, I like it a lot more on this viewing.
Well, good, because I remember we talked about this like off pod, weeks ago,
Yeah.
and you had said, because Psycho's your favorite movie, this is the worst downgrade to a sequel ever. So, do you still stand by that statement?
No. No, I don't. But I don't know what would be the replacement. I don't remember Psycho 3 at all, except for he falls in love with a nun.
I don't remember Psycho 3. I've seen it, but I don't remember it.
Yeah.
So I had to think about this. My worst downgrade to a sequel is The Exorcist 2.
It's a big one. But I feel like Psycho 2 does what Exorcist 2 does, or does what Jason Goes to Hell does, where it changes the mythos so much that you just run into it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe Jason Goes to Hell, because I love Jason Takes Manhattan so much. And then Jason Goes to Hell is like, what the fuck is this?
When we're talking about the worst part twos. You can't be like, you could say like Hellraiser, 8 or something. Like, I don't know if 7 was any good, but at some point they are dog shit.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's hard for me to think about like straight to number 2. A big drop. It's number 4, Superman 4, Quest for Peace. That's a big drop in quality as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Superman 4. But again, it's a 4. Once you start getting up there, but anyway, Exorcist 2 is my biggest drop off.
It's a big one.
Yep. So, one of the things that we do is we make pop figures from this movie. We already have back here behind me Norman Bates from the original.
Yeah.
But what would you do as a pop figure for this one?
I would do, like you have your King Kong and Godzilla, I would do like a scene, and it would be when Norman has hit her in the back of the head with a shovel. And she's at the same.
So mine is similar in the fact it's not a moment, but it would be Norman with the bandaged hands holding a shovel. Like that would be
great.
And he's not dressed like Mother because he's not. You know what I mean? So we have Norman Bates dressed like his mother, and then you have another Norman Bates where he just has the shovel where he just killed his mother.
Yeah. Love it.
So
and
that's
then
what I would do.
The other thing that we do is two more things. We talk about whether or not this deserves to be in the pantheon of horror films. How do you feel?
This one's tough because, again, it's a sequel
Yeah.
to one of the greatest horror movies of all time. Hitchcock, master. Like you said, it could be one of the first legacy sequels, so he's got that going forward as well. I feel like, yes, it should be, but not because it is great.
Yeah.
I think it should be on here because it's a sequel to Psycho, and they try really hard, and they succeed in a lot of stuff. And again, to me, they really screw up the mythos of Psycho. They just really do.
Yeah, to me, I think there's a lot of promise in this movie, and if it's making the list, it's barely scraping by. Like, but I see a lot of good in it. It just didn't congeal, right?
I think because at the end of the day, you have Norman Bates returning. You know what I mean? You have Anthony Perkins back as Norman Bates. That's a big deal.
Absolutely. Especially in a time where you're now reinventing the idea of the slasher flick with Freddy, Jason. Fuck you guys. Let's bring back the OG. Here comes Norman Bates, right? But I also feel it's very strange they don't do the at any moment in the movie. And that's one of the most iconic parts of the...
Right.
It's so strange. Anyway. The other thing we do... remake. How are you going to remake Psycho 2?
So I'm doing it, Keith. I'm doing a shot-for-shot remake with Vince Vaughn back 20 years later.
Yes.
Julianne Moore back. We are
Absolutely.
bringing the band back together, and
Absolutely.
we're doing a shot for shot remake, except we're going to add a masturbation scene, and that's it.
Yeah, love
That's
it.
what I'm doing.
Love it. I'm here for
And
that.
and I'm being serious. I would watch that.
I would watch the fuck out of it. I would love that. And we are at 20 years later. It would be now.
Yeah, it
Like
would be close enough to do.
3
Like, it's a
years
little
from
bit
now.
longer. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's right there. We're
Yeah.
ready to go.
That's insane. That's crazy. Okay. For me, I would do. Here's my thing. I don't want to remake any more Psycho movies. I'm pissed off with that stuff. So I want to do a video game called Bates Motel. And what happens in it is you are a person that's just exploring the Bates Motel and the house and everything like that, but you'll go into rooms and you'll time slip. And all of a sudden we'll change who our character is. And we'll have to experience all of the movies and all of the show. So you experience the first movie as Lila looking for your sister and trying to, and you explore all that. You
Sure.
experience the second movie as Norman, and as you're walking through the house, Mother is talking to you, and somebody's trying to drive you crazy. And you have to, solve 5 different adventures at once
Sure.
while you're trying to get through the house. So make it like your own Silent Hill, Resident Evil sort of.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'd play it.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun as shit. So, that being said, we have experienced now the horror, and we are checking out of the Bates Motel. Where are we going to next, Chad?
Next, we're going to see the master David Bowie in The Hunger.
Okay, we're gonna get some weird vampire, sexy fun times.
I know it's a vampire movie. I don't know if I would classify it as a vampire movie. I know that's what people say about it. That's it.
Yeah.
Probably when you read about it, it's not quite vampire-y to me, but
Me either. You've seen it before, right?
yes, and I'm not a fan.
Me
Spoiler.
either. And so but I also said the same thing about Psycho 2. So let's see if it changes my opinion.
Maybe.
Is
Who
this
knows?
Ridley Scott? Is that who directed this?
Mm, is
I'm
it
gonna
Tony Scott?
I think it might be Tony Scott. I think it's one
Yeah,
of
I
the
think it's
Scotts.
Tony Scott. I'm almost positive it's not Ridley Scott.
Yeah, because that would be really weird. I'm gonna look it up right now. Yeah, Tony Scott. But yeah, The Hunger, Susan Sarandon, David Bowie, Willem Dafoe as an extra, Tony Scott directing it, was important enough in the zeitgeist that it inspired an entire American Horror Story season. So, that's kind of crazy. So yeah, we'll check this out.
Yeah, I had high hopes for it, but we'll have fun talking about it. I'll tell you that. I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, it can't be worse than Bowie's other appearance in Cat People, musically on this fucking thing. So, in the meantime, before we get satiated on The Hunger, where can the people find you, Chad?
They can find me on Twitter, X. It is, what is it? What's my handle? Let me see here. It is, oh, I can't remember what it is. It's NQC Podcast
Okay.
on Twitter X.
Awesome. And if you're looking for me, you can find me in the Not Quite Darkness.
Peace.
Michael Kite.